What if you spent 10 years building a life in America, only to be told you're no longer welcome? In 2025, thousands of Filipino immigrants are being forced out of U.S. cities they once called home, not for breaking laws, but for trusting the system. From quiet nurses in New York to warehouse workers in Dallas, they're being hunted, flagged, and deported. This isn't just immigration policy. It's a silent purge. These are the 10 U.S. cities sending Filipino immigrants back home fast. Number 10. Houston. Once a safe space for immigrants, Houston is now a hotspot for silent deportations. Filipino workers in logistics hubs and private clinics are vanishing week by week. Families who've lived quietly for years are now packing overnight bags, fearing the next knock on the door. These removals aren't publicized. They happen quietly, one household at a time. The main trigger? Workplace raids. But now, agents aren't just checking IDs. They're digging through pay stubs, licenses, even online job ads. Filipinos who arrived on business or tourist visas and stayed for work are now on the radar. Some overstayed during the pandemic, when flights home were impossible. Now, they're treated like fugitives. Some were caught just for being in the wrong van pool at the wrong time. It's chaos, and no one is warning them. Why target Filipinos? Because enforcement here has shifted toward low-risk deportations. Officials say Filipinos are easier to process. They rarely resist and often cooperate. That makes them easy targets. Houston's data sharing with ICE has increased, linking hospitals, even aid records, to federal immigration systems. The message is clear. No matter how long you've lived here, your paperwork now defines your future. And for many, that future is being erased. Number 9. Chicago. It didn't begin with a raid. In Chicago, it began with a letter, then a phone call, then silence. Filipino families who lived in basements, shared apartments, and rented rooms for over a decade are now gone. In communities like Albany Park and West Ridge, people started vanishing 1 week at a time. It was quiet, but it was brutal. The reasons? Expired F1 student visas, unresolved asylum cases, and job transfers that never received official approval. Even more disturbing was the rise of data hunting. Clinics, shelters, and social services started demanding stricter ID checks, then passed that data to immigration. One incorrect digit in an old file, enough to trigger deportation. In Chicago, even visiting a hospital could get you removed. Why Filipinos? Because they're known for being non-confrontational. Authorities have said it outright. Filipinos don't cause noise, and tragically, that's worked against them. With limited legal aid and few community defense funds, removals are fast-tracked. And because Filipinos rarely have criminal records, deporting them appears clean on paper. In Chicago, silence isn't safety. It's what makes you an easy target. Number 8. Los Angeles. It all began with surveillance. In Los Angeles, agents started monitoring areas like historic Filipinatown and Koreatown under the guise of traffic enforcement. But those stops became detentions. Filipinos, once protected by L's sanctuary status, learned that federal systems still shared data. What seemed like random checks became systematic removals. Here, the push isn't about new arrests. It's about immigration court cleanup. Thousands of Filipino cases, stuck in limbo for 5 to 7 years, were reopened and denied with little or no warning. International students, long out of school, were tracked and removed. Filipinos in LA are now seen as uncomplicated cases, no criminal records, English speaking, and often with families. That makes their deportation quick and efficient on paper. But behind every file is a nursing student, a church volunteer, a caregiver, people who've built lives here. ICE and DHS aren't seeking justice. They're seeking volume. And Los Angeles, despite its progressive image, has become a quiet pipeline for sending Filipinos away. No protests, no headlines, just empty apartments and unanswered phones. Number 7. New York City. In Queens, one of the most diverse places in the world, the Filipino community is suddenly shrinking. Why? Because behind the cosmopolitan image, New York is cracking down. It started with the state ID upgrade program. What looked like a simple document renewal quickly became a screening tool. Filipinos trying to renew IDs found themselves flagged by immigration alerts. Then came home visits, time to school hours, work shifts, even Sunday mornings. The worst part? Many of these Filipinos have been here for over 15 years. They're caretakers, frontline workers, subway cleaners, and retail clerks, the backbone of the city during the pandemic. Now, they're treated like paperwork errors. One nurse, working double shifts during COVID, was deported after a routine address check. Her only crime? Letting her work visa expire while waiting on a green card, a delay caused by the government itself. New York's legal system is overloaded. Court backlogs mean people get only one shot at defending themselves. And if you miss that letter or hearing, you're out. For Filipinos, who often trust the system and avoid confrontation, the consequences are devastating. Number 6. Las Vegas. In the city of bright lights, Filipino dreams are going dark. Las Vegas saw a boom in Filipino migration post-2010, working in casinos, hotels, healthcare, and gig work. But in 2025, that boom is turning into a bust. Why? Because Nevada's new Verified Labor Initiative is targeting service workers, especially those with expired work permits or unclear immigration status. And Las Vegas employers? They're reporting workers to avoid liability. In 1 week, an entire housekeeping crew and a top hotel was removed, all Filipinos. Another man was deported after applying for a promotion. His employer discovered his expired visa and chose to turn him in rather than lose federal tax credits. For many Filipinos in Vegas, the city that once gave them hope has now betrayed them. They came to work, to help their families back home, and now they're being treated like risks, not residents. Number 5. Seattle. Seattle once embraced immigrants. Now, it's tightening the gate. The tech boom brought in Filipino professionals, many on H-1B visas and student pathways. But today, job layoffs have led to visa cancellations, and removal orders are being enforced ruthlessly. The moment your work contract ends, the countdown starts. Lose your visa? You have 30 days to leave, or ICE will come to you. Even those who tried switching to freelance or gig work have been denied. Immigration systems now flag income mismatches from bank accounts, cash apps, even Uber logs. For Filipinos in Seattle, it's become a ticking clock. One job loss equals one life destroyed. And worst of all, once deported, these workers are banned from re-entry for 5 to 10 years, even if they had legal status just months earlier. Seattle's tech revolution offered opportunity, but it came with a trapdoor. And Filipinos are falling through it, silently. Number 4. Phoenix. What started as a policy change became a panic. In Phoenix, Arizona, new enforcement laws in 2025 have triggered a wave of compliance sweeps, especially in senior care and construction industries, where many Filipinos work. But this isn't about chasing criminals. It's about chasing quotas. ICE agents, now working with local police, are conducting parking lot raids, even stopping carpools outside job sites. One woman, a home caregiver, was deported mid-shift, leaving behind an elderly patient with no help. Others were flagged simply for using expired out-of-state licenses. For undocumented Filipinos, Arizona has become unlivable. No more DMV renewals. No more bank account access. No more anonymity. Even churches and community centers are seeing informal surveillance. Filipinos in Phoenix used to fly under the radar. Now, they're being spotlighted and sent home. Number 3. Miami. In a city full of foreign voices, Miami is silencing Filipino ones. Tourism, elder care, and hospitality once offered safe work for immigrants. But Miami's new anti-overstay initiative is slashing through communities, especially Filipinos who arrived on tourist visas and stayed to work. Now, landlords are being required to verify immigration status. Utility companies are reporting suspicious addresses. In one shocking case, 3 Filipino roommates were deported after sharing a Wi-Fi account flagged by the system. They had no warning, no lawyer, just deportation orders issued in under 48 hours. What's worse, Filipinos are often the last to know. They're not used to challenging the system, and they trust their employers. But Miami's gig economy is now flooded with informants, Uber drivers, cleaners, and even neighbors tipped off for cash rewards. In 2025, Miami isn't just removing immigrants. It's building a system where Filipinos are watched, targeted, and sent home without ever making a sound. Number 2. Dallas, big city, bigger crackdowns. Dallas has ramped up its use of E-Verify and biometric tracking, particularly in warehouses, kitchens, and transportation hubs. That's where many Filipinos work long, quiet hours. But now, even temporary work visas aren't enough. If your sponsor closes, lays off, or fails to renew, you're on the list. Filipino truck drivers, cleaners, and warehouse staff are being removed for what once seemed like minor issues. A late form, a missing signature, a rejected extension. Dallas police now have direct access to immigration alerts, allowing them to detain people for routine traffic stops. No license, no second chance. Filipinos who were promised a better life are now living in fear. Their neighborhoods are emptying. Their friends have vanished. And when deportation happens here, it's swift, cold, and final. 1. San Diego, the most heartbreaking city on this list. San Diego, once a gateway of dreams, has turned into a trap for Filipinos. Why? Because the border city now uses facial recognition, license plate scanners, and real-time movement tracking. Even entering a grocery store flagged for inspections can get you picked up. Filipino caregivers, who help the elderly, the sick, and children with disabilities, are being removed like nuisances. One nurse, caring for a child with autism, was deported while her patient screamed for her not to leave. She had no crimes, no warnings, just an overstayed visa and a life built on compassion. In San Diego, even crossing into another neighborhood could trigger a geofence alert. Filipinos, with no legal pathway and no protection, are now being watched digitally, targeted physically, and deported mechanically. These 10 cities aren't just places. They're systems built to remove people quietly, especially those who trust, who comply, who don't fight back. And in 2025, Filipino immigrants are facing removal without resistance. But silence shouldn't mean surrender. If you know someone in one of these cities, warn them now. Because in America's immigration machine, the quietest people are often the first to disappear.